Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Ritu Singh and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. The sell-off in Adani stocks resumes after MSCI announces a review of its free float status. The founder of Hindenburg says MSCI's statement validates their claims, another jolt for Adani Group as France's Total puts its proposed $50 billion hydrogen joint venture on hold pending an independent audit. Prime Minister Modi accuses the Congress party of spinning conspiracy theories, says the nation stands with us in the Rajya Sabha amid constant sloganeering. Opposition parties continue to protest, demanding a parliamentary panel probe into the Adani controversy. Sensex and Nifty end a volatile session on the last street with minor gains. IT stocks lead with gains, but metal stocks slide. Rupee remains on a tight leash against the dollar. The centre is firm about the market borrowing target of close to 12 lakh crore rupees for the next fiscal. A government official tells CNBC-TV18 that expanded senior citizen small savings scheme will help the centre bridge the revenue gap. The government is expecting an additional 75,000 crore mop-up from that scheme alone. The death toll in the aftermath of the Turkey-Syria earthquake crosses 16,000 as rescue operations enter the fourth day. Syrian media reports that close to 3 lakh people have been forced to leave their homes. The first humanitarian convoy reached the rebel stronghold of northwest Syria today. Alphabet shares tumble after its chatbot Bard answers a question wrong at a Google promotional event. $100 billion in market capitalization gets wiped out as the battle for supremacy in artificial intelligence with Microsoft heats up. Disney announces 7,000 job cuts after its streaming service reports the first fall in subscribers. The layoffs are part of a larger restructuring plan aimed at saving more than $5 billion in cost. Now, before we get to the news of the day, we at CNBC-TV18 would like to thank you, our viewers, for your sustained support, your trust and loyalty, especially when it comes to the coverage of big events which shape and determine how you handle your personal finances and your businesses. Now, thanks to your unwavering patronage, CNBC-TV18 has once again crushed competition on Budget Day this year. Your channel enjoyed a solid 89.9% viewership through the day. And that's not all. We also have emerged as a leader in the business news segment with 88.2% viewership during the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's budget speech. Again, this feat would not have been possible without your consistent support, engagement and steadfast trust in us. My team and I thank you all for giving us the opportunity all year, every year. It truly is a huge moment of pride for all of us here at CNBC-TV18. So thank you all for the privilege of letting us deliver the news that matters to you with the analysis and perspective that makes a difference to your lives. All right, so let's kick things off with the stock market action for the day. A volatile trading session which saw the last street end with some minor gains. Now, Nifty and sensex ended mildly higher in trade. The IT index led from the front, while metal stocks remained a major drag on the Nifty. The broader markets, though, underperformed, with the Nifty Bank and mid-caps ending the day flat with a slight positive bias. Prashant Nair is here with all of the details. Prashant, a choppy trading day.
A slightly higher start. I mean, marginally, you could almost call it flat on the Nifty, and same is true for the Bank Nifty as well. On the Nifty, by the way, we have managed to close above the 20-day moving average. It's a near-term resistance, but not by very much. It's not like a meaningfully higher close, but we'll see. Let me just tell you what happened. Sectors which were higher, IT, continuing from yesterday, picked up and did well, and banks did better as compared to yesterday as well. On the downside, metals flipped. Metals yesterday was a strong sector. Autos and real estate lost as well. On the Nifty, in terms of large cap stocks, names like Hindalco, the Bajaj twins have made a comeback. Actually, it's Bajaj Finance, which is slowly but surely creeping higher after a poor 2022. HDFC Life and Infosys, insurance stocks did well yesterday, and there was a little bit of a bounce continuation today as well. The cuts on the Nifty coming in from names like Hero, Cipla, JSW Steel, which were down and out. Lots of earnings-related reactions, right? I mean, both on the downside and the upside. So in the broader space, MRF, Page disappointed, Piramal Pharma, Raymond were names which were lower. The new age companies have been doing well. Paytm has moved up sharply very quickly. Policy Bazaar for a second day in a row. There was Cummins which was reacting to numbers. Trent, Sula, Campus, these are liquid large mid caps which performed quite okay. I think a more solid and more convincing close about the 20-day perhaps will be something which bulls will welcome. But before that, I think we will get the MSCI review of the Adani stocks and what they intend to do there. So I think those are the names which will be very much in focus as we start tomorrow's session. Back to you.
All right, thanks Prashant very much for joining in with that. Now the big story this evening. The sell-off in Adani Group stocks resumed today with a 60,000 crore rupee decline in market capitalization. Now since the Hindenburg report was released, Adani Group has lost nearly 10 lakh crore rupees in market cap. Barring Adani Wilmar, all group stocks closed lower. Now, while Adani Total Gas, Adani Green Energy, Adani Transmission, Adani Power and NDTV tested their lower circuits. This after the MSCI triggered a free float review of the Adani Group securities on the index. Now, in a statement, the MSCI said, and I quote, MSCI has determined that the characteristics of certain investors have sufficient uncertainty that they should no longer be designated as free float pursuant to our methodology. Remember, 8 out of the 10 Adani Group stocks are part of this index. Now, meanwhile, Nathan Anderson, who is the founder of Hindenburg Research, said that the MSCI statement on Adani investors validated their findings. In another jolt, Total Energies, which is one of the largest investors in the Adani Group, has put on hold its participation in Adani's $50 billion hydrogen project until the internal audit is completed. Now, when asked about the deal, Total Energies chief said, and I quote him, "It was announced, nothing was signed, it doesn't exist," end of quote. Staying with the news there, Norway's $1.35 trillion sovereign wealth fund has said that it has in recent weeks divested virtually all of its remaining shares that it had in Adani Group companies. The company said, and I quote, "Since year-end, we have further reduced in Adani companies. We have no exposure left." Now, back home, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear 2 PLIs seeking a court-monitored probe into Hindenburg's conspiracy against the Adani Group. The PLIs claim that Hindenburg short-sold Adani stocks and caused a monumental loss to investors. Now, there was constant sloganeering from opposition benches over the Adani-Hindenburg issue during Prime Minister Modi's reply to the President's address in the Rajya Sabha today. Opposition parties continued their demand of a joint parliamentary committee probe into the allegations that have been made. Prime Minister Modi accused the Congress party of spinning conspiracy theories.
जो भी जिसके पास था उसने दिया उछाल। और अच्छा ही है, जितना कीचड़ उछालोगे कमल उतना ही ज्यादा खिलेगा। हमारी सरकार की पहचान जो बनी है वो हमारे पुरुषार्थ के कारण बनी है।
Now, in the commodity market, oil prices struggled to gain traction despite optimism over recovering Chinese demand. This was offset by concerns of weakening activity in the US after inventories hit their highest in months. Let's also take a look at mutual fund inflows for the month of January. Equity inflows jumped nearly 72% to over 12,000 crore rupees, which is a sharp increase from around 7,200 crores in December. Large cap saw a 700 crore inflow after 2 straight months of outflows. Now, meanwhile, the SIP category was another strong performer, staying above the 13,000 crore mark. Now, on to all of the day's earnings action. Hindalco delivered a strong third quarter with the company's aluminium business improving sequentially. The firm's copper business was also strong, courtesy all-time high copper rod sales. The company's debt also reduced marginally, setting the stage for a better fourth quarter. In international earnings, Disney came out with its first quarter numbers for the fiscal and it largely beat street estimates. Smaller subscriber losses and a beat on top and bottom line were the key highlights. The company's streaming service, Disney Plus, also reported a subscriber loss of about 2 million, courtesy a hike in prices. And speaking of losses, the company has also decided to cut 7,000 jobs as part of a restructuring plan. The layoffs will represent around 3.6% of Disney's global workforce. The centre is confident about its market borrowing aim for FY24, which currently stands at around 12 lakh crore rupees. A government official has told CNBC-TV18 that the expanded Senior Citizen Savings Scheme is going to help the centre bridge the revenue gap. Sapna Das has been picking up the story and joins us now. Sapna, how much extra mop-up can we expect from this savings scheme?
Well, the government is very confident about sticking to its net borrowing number of 11.81 lakh crore, the net market borrowing number. And we are given to understand that their sense of comfort also stems from the important changes that they have done in some of the small savings schemes, as well as the launch of a new savings scheme for women. Particularly on the senior citizens front, on the senior citizen deposit scheme, the government is expecting an additional mop-up of around 75,000 crores just by the doubling of the deposit cap from 15 lakh rupees to 30 lakh rupees annually. Now, this translates into almost 0.25% of the GDP on the new revised nominal base for FY24. It's a big number to speak about. Similarly, in terms of doubling the investment or the deposit caps or MIS. So all in all, their sense of comfort comes from a good and a healthy mop-up, which is likely from small savings. Of course, there is a budget target of 4.71 lakh odd crore, but given the way, the expectation on the government side is, there could be a chance of the government actually exceeding that number. Last but not the least, PPF and Sukanya Samriddhi, these were the schemes which are not incentivized in the budget simply because they're already under exempt tax treatment. So any further, relief was not possible for those schemes.
All right, Sapna, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in. It's time now for us to take a short break, but up next, the death toll in the aftermath of the Turkey-Syria earthquake has crossed 16,000, even as rescue operations enter the fourth day. Details on that and more when we return. Now, just 2 days after Google unveiled its ChatGPT rival Bard, its parent company, Alphabet, lost $100 billion in market capital. The reason behind this is going to stun you. It was a blunder committed by Bard in a promotional video that was shared by Google. The video showed Bard telling a 9-year-old that James Webb Telescope is used to take pictures outside the Milky Way, which in fact is not correct. Now, this error weighed on investor sentiments and raised concerns over Google's AI bet against its rival, Microsoft. The Delhi High Court has granted bail to former CEO of the National Stock Exchange, Chitra Ramakrishna, in an illegal phone tapping case. The Enforcement Directorate, which had arrested her in July of last year, alleged that Ramakrishna conspired to cheat NSE employees by illegally tapping their phones. Now, after South America, Netflix has expanded its crackdown on password sharing to 4 more nations, which is Canada, New Zealand, Portugal, and Spain. These countries will now have to pay an additional charge if they are looking to share their membership with friends or family they don't live with. The media giant claims that around 100 million people across the world are sharing accounts, which has hit the company's revenues. And Twitter rolls out its premium subscription service, Twitter Blue, in India, Brazil, and Indonesia. The service is going to cost 900 rupees per month for iOS and Android users in India and 650 rupees a month for those using Twitter on their web. Twitter Blue subscription adds the blue check mark to the user's profile name and gives access to additional features like editing a tweet and posting longer videos. Luxury car maker Mercedes-Benz said it could hike prices of 3 top-end luxury models. Now, the company's MD and CEO, Santosh Iyer, told Jude Sanith in an exclusive chat that EQB, GLB and S-Class Maybach could see price hikes of between 1 and 3 lakh rupees soon. Now, he added that Mercedes-Benz maintains its projection of a healthy growth in India, economic climate notwithstanding. Now, here's a slice of that conversation with Jude.
Coming to this basic custom duty, I think the core idea is to localize more. And for us, more than 95% of the portfolio we make in Chakan.
Yes.
And the balance 2 to 3%, which as you mentioned, the EQB, the GLB and the S-Class Maybach is which comes in a different knockdown condition. There will be an increase of 1 to 3 lakhs. But I think it's fine for us.
Simply on account of the announcements pertaining to the surcharge and the highest income tax bracket being eased out a bit, also easing out in terms of the new regime's brackets too. Does that impact the kind of business you can do in terms of the high-end models? TEV is something that you currently operate well in 69% growth.
Yes.
How much of an impact will these announcements have on doing better growth in these areas? And what will that growth be going forward?
See, surely, firstly, specific to the income tax slabs, we see a big shift in salaried class buying Mercedes-Benz also.
Okay.
We used to have 8 to 10%, now it's around 15% of our sales come from the salaried class. And if they have more money, not only they will buy, but they will also upgrade to higher models because they can afford a better EMI, they can take that plunge. So I think overall it's good for us as a company and also for the market.
Given that we find ourselves in very uncertain economic times, and I'm talking about how this year has been, including the latter part of last year, and you yourself pointed out about how mutual funds are seemingly, a competitor of sorts in terms of how well you do business. Do you see more saving and more investment, especially in an uncertain economic climate, impacting the kind of growth you foresee for yourself this year?
This has been there in the past, this is there today, this may continue also a bit in the future. So we don't see any short-term change just because of, the current headwinds that coming because of uncertainty, and uncertainty has always been part of economy.
Now, the big global story that we're tracking here, the death toll from the devastating earthquake and aftershocks that hit Turkey and Syria has now crossed 16,000. Tens of thousands of others have also been injured. Rescue operations for possible survivors through thousands of collapsed buildings amid freezing weather conditions continue. Now, while visiting the quake-hit region, Turkish President Erdogan admitted that there were problems with his government's initial response to the devastating incident. However, he claimed the situation is under control now. In Syria, around 3 lakh people have been forced to leave their homes since the earthquake in the government-controlled areas alone. The United Nations has said that the war-hit country urgently needs life-saving aid. India has sent 6 planes with personnel, medical equipment and relief material to Turkey and Syria under Operation Dost. An Agra-based army hospital team has also set up a 30-bed, fully equipped medical facility for those who were affected by the earthquakes. All right, moving on, in other global news that we're tracking, Volodymyr Zelensky has made a visit to the United Kingdom on his way to Brussels to lobby EU leaders to ramp up their support in Ukraine's war against Russia. Now, this is his 3rd visit abroad since the Russian invasion began. He was received by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in London. The Ukrainian president addressed the UK Parliament as well. Now, he urged United Kingdom to supply them with fighter jets. The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said nothing is off the table. Zelensky also met with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris in a bid to secure supply of long-range missiles. Macron assured Ukraine that they could count on France to win this war. On that note, we're going to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thank you very much for watching, but stay with CNBC TV 18. The news continues on the other side of the break.